complete process consists of removing the old grass director, getting new strips, drilling, filing, and notching them, making new tabs to hold the strips onto the deck, locating the strips, and welding or bolting the tabs onto the strips. This video focuses on the bending of the strips. Just for the record, here is an assortment of the tabs that I have used to attach the strips to the deck. Some are made with 1/2 inch wide material, and I ran out of that, so I used 3/4 inch material to make some more. Here are a 1/2 dozen of the new strips after the first bend. And here are a 1/2 dozen of them, all bent and ready to be installed into the deck after being adjusted. And you can see some tabs in a little plastic bag hanging off the right hand side. I'm going to demonstrate how I roll up these rings that I'm going to use to make the grass director. So this is what I'll end up with. This is my 11-inch radius or 22-inch diameter measuring stick. This is called a slip roll. 3 rollers, and they squeeze the material and bend it as you go. Be careful that I don't hit myself in the chin here. Okay, that's the first pass, and you see I'm too big, so now I'll turn it around and run it through again. At the same setting. And there we have it. Doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't rocket science. You can also do this same bend by just setting up a couple of 2x4 blocks like this, and then hitting this thing, the strip, with a hammer about every 1/2 inch. Hit, move, hit, move, hit, move, hit, move, with about the same hardness all the way around. And if it's not small enough, go around and hit the 1/4 inch in between those 1/2 inches until you get it right. Again, not rocket science. Test it again. A little bit big. Like I said, it's not rocket science. You can hand reform it, and you'll have to by the time you get it to fit exactly on the tractor anyway, a little bit. So, and there we're close enough. I just did 6 of them, so I've got plenty of tractors to use it on. In the next scene, I will demonstrate the back bending technique. I'm going to start doing the reverse bends on one of the grass directors. I have it clamped in the vise right at one of my 13 inches from the center mark, and I'm just going to bend it 90 degrees. I don't want a terribly square bend, so I'm just kind of tapping it down a little bit, not real hard. Do the same thing to the other side. straighten it up so it's 90 degrees to the vise. Again, just tap down within about a ½ inch to an inch of the corner where you want it to bend. And I'm only going for 90 degrees at this step. So this is the finished product, the product at this time. Okay. Now we'll go over to another machine here, the Treadle Hammer, and we'll complete the bend. This device is a Treadle Hammer, which is just a kind of a blacksmith helper. You step on the treadle down there to drive the hammer head down. I'm just going to use it because it's handy. A guy could do that with a guy could do that with a hand hammer and any kind of a hard surface to strike against. I have a little V-shaped tool that's sitting there on the Treadle Hammer anvil, but it could be a couple pieces of 2x4 spaced out, maybe a ½ 3/4 of an inch apart, and some sort of a dulled chisel. That's what we call a fuller, so that it won't actually dig into the metal. It'll just form it. Okay, here's the forming process. We're just going to close up this bend until it's probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 degrees of an angle in here. Maybe it's more like 30 degrees. This is a completed one. And this is good enough for now because you'll be adjusting this later on when you go to install it anyway. And squeezing this area, which isn't very hard to do. You could do it by hand here even. Okay. Alright, so now we're just going to do this. And the reason I'm doing this with this dull chisel that we call a fuller, rounded end, is that I want to keep this radius fairly small in here. If I just bent it by hand the rest of the way now, it would be a little bit of a bigger radius than we really need. I'm not hitting very hard here. I'm just taking it easy so my parts don't come flying off the treadle hammer. But you see where we're at now, and this is where we're going. This is where we're at, and this is where we're going. One more. And that's all there is to it. Now you're ready to install it on the garden tractor. Notice here that, as I said earlier in this whole presentation, I've made a mark for a hole here because some of the machines, some of the mower decks actually had a 5/16 square hole here and a bolt to hold it back against the back side of the deck. So I don't drill that hole out unless I need it. I have center punched it so I could find it later on if I run into a deck that uses that system. And presto, we have 6 more grass directors, or as the book says, Shroud-Blade, for the narrow frame 42-inch mower deck for Cub Cadets, 100 through 127.
Here you see the new grass director strip after its ends have been bolted into place. The tabs have also been loosely bolted down to the deck, but they aren't attached to the strip yet. It's at this point that I adjust the bends of the strip to match the original location of the old shroud. I simply want the blades to just barely miss the strip. The blades won't hit the strip anyway because they stand a little higher than the top edge of the strip. Here's the completed project. The tabs have been welded to the strip. I don't bother to repaint the welded area because the paint doesn't seem to survive very well in this harsh environment. This deck is now ready to go for many more seasons.